Good morning. I am taking my RIBO exam this morning. I just dropped Groot off at doggy daycare. We boarded her at this place when we were in Vancouver last week. So I just brought her here for the day because I'm taking my exam from home. And I was talking to one of the gals yesterday and she was telling me that when she took hers from home, like she was, at her boyfriend's place and their dog was there, and she like mentioned something about the dog and like, oh, like I have a dog, so like he might bark, you know, once or twice, but like it's okay, like there's somebody else here to take care of him, whatever. And they were like, no, like there can't be any noise, there can't be any disruption, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, well, it's just me home alone with Groot, so that would be bad because if there was an emergency and she had to go out, like nobody else is there to take her. And if for some reason somebody might ring the buzzer or whatever, she could bark a lot. So I just decided it would be easier and significantly less stressful for me if I just brought her to doggy daycare. So did that this morning. I also picked up a coffee from Starbucks this morning, and when I was ordering in the app, there was like a little thing that was like, oh, buy one, get one 50% off on like beverages that are grande or larger. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just get 2 drinks and then maybe I'll drink one this afternoon, or I'll save it for tomorrow and reheat it, or just have it iced or whatever. So I picked up a matcha latte and a blonde latte and brought them both to the car, put the blonde latte on top of the car while I was opening the car door, grabbed the blonde latte. After I'd opened the door to the car, the lid popped right off. I dropped the entire cup and it fell all over the ground and the side of my car. So I paid $10.50 for one latte this morning, which is a pain in my butt. But I wanted the matcha more, so I guess that was like fate that occurred to the blonde latte. However, it's frustrating to pay that much money for a single latte. I was like stoked to have 2 and have a good price on them and whatever, and then here I am with a $10 latte. So anywho, I'm gonna grab breakfast, bring that home to Griffin, drop off the car to him for him to take to work, and then do my final prep for my exam. So I'm feeling nervous, but I'm also feeling pretty good about it. I studied a bunch last night. I've been studying like crazy. So at this point, you kind of like know everything that you can know, and it's just up to the universe's hands at this point. Okay, I'm very close to starting my exam. It is 8:48. My right time is at 8:50. So we're getting very, very close. I have been studying since I got back this morning from dropping the dog off, ate some breakfast, finished my coffee. I've peed about 5 times this morning because I'm such a nervous peer. Sorry if that's TMI, but I am nervous, but also excited and just kind of like happy to get this over with. Like it's been consuming my life for like at least a month now. So it'll just kind of like be a weight off my chest to get it finished. So I am tired and nervous, but I know that it's going to go well. I tested out all my equipment this morning, so it seems all good. I think like my girlfriend yesterday was saying that the most stressful part is honestly like the prepping for the proctoring, like having to have them like look around your space and they ask you a bunch of questions, and like if you have to move anything last minute because they say it's not okay, like that's the stressful part. The actual exam is like not that bad. So I just like have to mentally prepare for that. And yeah, I will talk to you guys after I finish. I just finished my exam. I took just about 2 hours to do it. I think just slightly over 2 hours to do it. And I feel pretty good. There were a couple of questions that like super stumped me, and I was just like looking at them and I was like, I honestly don't know the answer. So I just took my best guess. And then there was a few that I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the answer, and selected that one, obviously. But a large majority of them, I would like read all the options and be like, oh my God, it's definitely this, and like easily eliminate the other options. So I felt very confident about, you know, the majority of it. So that's good. And you have to get 75% to pass, which on an exam with 90 questions is like just under 70 questions right. So I do have wiggle room there, so that feels good. I will say, to be able to be licensed to sell travel insurance, you have to get 60% of the questions on travel insurance correct, and I think that there's 5 of them. So you have to get at least 3 of them correct. The wording for the travel insurance questions was a little intense and different from any of the wordings that I had like practiced with questions on. So those ones were a little bit iffy, I'll say. I'm hopeful that I get the 60% on the travel insurance because it would be cool to just like have that, but it's not like be all end all, and it doesn't mean you don't pass. So that was good. I was actually surprised there didn't seem to be as many questions about commercial insurance on there as I thought that there was going to be. The home and auto were a much larger section, which makes sense, but I just expected a few more questions about commercial. Like, I don't even know, like there had to be less than 10 questions about commercial in total, which was strange. There was a decent amount of home questions specifically about like very specific parts of coverage in home insurance. So that can get a little bit finicky, but I felt very confident with all of my answers in those sections. And during the test, you also get a copy of the OAP1 for auto and the comprehensive homeowners policy as well. So that's good for reference. It like gives you some of the information. The wordings are very technical, so that's why you have to study those texts so you know what to look for and how to interpret it when you're reading it on the test. But it's helpful to have those to reference back and be like, okay, so what does this mean? Does this cover under this section, whatever? And you can just get to that part really quickly. So that was good. But yeah, overall, I feel really good about it. I don't know, really good. I feel good about it. I don't want to like be over optimistic and then get my dreams dashed if I don't pass. It says that it can take up to 5 days to receive your results. I'm really hoping it doesn't take that long because I'll go a little nuts if I don't know before the weekend. It's like an online test, so it shouldn't really be that hard. Like the answers are pre-programmed into the system, so like it should be able to just pop you out your answers, but I guess they have to have someone like verify it and whatever too after the computer does what it's supposed to do. So anyway, I hope I find out about that really soon, but I'm feeling pretty good right now. Now, unfortunately, I have to get ready to go to work and work this afternoon. My supervisor yesterday was like, oh, you should have like booked the afternoon off for after your exam. And I was like, well, I didn't think about that. And also I was off all last week because I was in Vancouver, so I kind of need to work. So anyway, I'm going to go to work now, get some work done this afternoon. And yeah, my brain's a little bit fried, so I don't know how much help I'm going to be, but I know I can like manage my major tasks of like doing the mail and that kind of stuff that you have to be like in person in the office to do. So I know that I can do that for sure. It's just a question of I can do my like more technical tasks this afternoon, but I will catch up with you guys when I get the results from my exam and to update you if I pass on the process of applying for my actual license after passing the exam. Okay, so I'm kind of freaking out because I think that I have my exam results. Like, I was just going onto the website to see if it informed you of like how you receive your results, like if they email them to you or if you have to go through the portal or whatever. And you just like go to the exam section, and I clicked next to the exam that I did today and clicked details on it, and it brought me to this page that says score report for RIBO level 1. And like it says I passed. It says that I passed it. And then I got 81% on it. And then I think that's enough to be able to sell travel insurance too, so that's great. So I like called my supervisor to say like, is this accurate? Do you know? Like, is this the right thing? I think it says that I passed. Like, I don't know. And she was like, well, I don't know. Like, I've never taken the online version of it because she took it like when it was still in person and whatever. And so she's like, I'm not 100% sure, but like, it seems like it should be, like, it seems like it's right. So let's see, like email it to our manager and see what the situation is and what she says. So I took a screenshot and like saved the PDF and everything, and I emailed it to my manager, but she's like attending an online conference. So I just got her like automatic reply email being like, I'm attending this conference, like, please call me if it's urgent. And I'm like, it's like not really urgent, but I also really want to know. So that's so exciting. But I don't want to like get too excited if it's not right. But I don't know how it would not be right. So everyone at work kind of also thinks that I passed and that those are my correct results, but I talked to one of the other girls who did hers online previously, and she said that she like got an email like literally the next morning. So I'm hopeful that I get the email tomorrow morning so I can stop being in this like weird limbo of like, I think I passed, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're gonna see what happens. But I'm very hopeful that that comes promptly so I don't have to like keep being in this weird spot, because like it was weird to tell people today, like, I think I passed, but I'm not actually sure. So hopefully that will come in really soon, and then I don't have to like worry about this anymore. And yeah, but I feel the amount of like release of stress that I feel not having to like go home and study and like worry about this anymore is beautiful. So that's been a blessing. It has been a couple months since I filmed those last few clips, aka when I took my actual RIBO test, but I wanted to kind of wrap up this video and let y'all know what happened and the next steps and some of the like nitty-gritty information from it. I took my test during like a very busy time in my life. We had just come back from our Vancouver trip. We were in the midst of moving. Everything was kind of everywhere, and then everything stayed busy for the rest of the year, so I just didn't have time to actually like sit down and film this core informative part of the video. So here we are, and I'm going to wrap this up and hopefully answer any of the questions that you may have accumulated in the first part of this video. When I left off, I was talking about the fact that I had accessed my results through the website that I took the exam on, but I didn't have like official results, and nobody was like actually sure if the results that I clicked on the website were the actual results from the test and if they were official or not. So I actually ended up getting the email, I think about 3 days later, 2 or 3 days later, saying like, your results have been posted, blah, 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 please go to the website, click this link and go through the spot, which was exactly the link that I had clicked on and exactly where I went to get my results initially. They were my results the whole time, so that was nice to know. And now I can also let anybody know in the future if they take their test online that you can get your results immediately. I think that technically you still have to wait for the official email just in case, but when I applied for my license, I had to just send in a screenshot of my results from that page. I took the picture for that when I was submitting my application on the day of my exam. So I think it's as official as anything else. So yeah, I got the email just telling me to check the same portal. So my next steps for actually applying to get my license post getting my test results, I had to get a police check, which through the city of Ottawa, you can actually do online. And I've done it for a couple other things, like for frosh stuff in university, and then also for another job, I had to get a police check. So there's an online platform, it's really easy. For the most part, a lot of that stuff has obviously switched online because of the current situation with the pandemic. So that was pretty easy. It was just like a regular check. It wasn't a vulnerable sector check. I think that they all go by different names and different prices and stuff depending on what municipality or like county you're in. So you'll have to like look up what the situation is, but I did not need a vulnerable sector check. It was just a regular one, and it was $67. I also had to get a letter of employment from my employer. So my brokerage just had to like fill out this PDF that they have available on the website. There was like a really brief application, super easy. It asked you like a couple of technical questions and like background check type questions, but it was really straightforward and I wasn't confused, and it took me probably like 10 minutes to do the whole thing. And then I just had to wait for my results from that application, which took, I would say, about 2-ish weeks after I submitted everything. Now I submitted my stuff like pretty close to the holiday season, so I would say that it's mostly because of that. I think that it's usually around a week. It took a little bit of extra time because it was like mid-December and it took some time for things to process and whatever, but anyways, it was decently fast, and like once you submit your application, there's not really anything for you to do. And as long as your test results are good and your background check and everything turns out, it's very unlikely that you'll be declined. So when we found out that everything went through and I actually got my license, they emailed the president of my brokerage first to reach out to him to say, hey, there's like a new licensed broker that's working at your firm. This is the information, this is the application, blah, blah, blah. So the president of my brokerage actually called me first before I even got the email. He made it special that way by calling me, but I did get the email afterwards to set up my online RIBO account, which is very basic. It's literally just so you have your membership number and you're able to submit your study hours and stuff on there. So it's just like a very bare bones website just for your accreditation. Now that I have my license, I am licensed to sell insurance in Ontario only. Insurance is like very regional. In Canada, it's province by province and things are very different province to province. So I am licensed to sell in Ontario under supervision. So there has to be other people in my brokerage that are like supervising me at the moment. And basically what that looks like is they're training me on how to sell and they're available to consult me and that kind of stuff. But I am able to advise and sell on insurance, auto, property, and commercial, not life insurance, now that I have my license. And I actually got a raise after I passed. That's pretty normal, obviously. Once you get a new accreditation at a job, you are probably going to get a raise to reflect the knowledge that you have gained from that situation. So now after you get your license, there are requirements every single year to ensure that you keep your license and kind of keep up to date on the relevant knowledge that you need to have as an insurance broker. So there's 8 hours of learning per year that you have to do before the end of September, and that allows you to renew your license. So there's a 1 hour of ethics learning requirements, 3 hours of technical learning, and a maximum of 2 hours can be applied to personal skills development. So like management skills, interpersonal skills, that kind of stuff. So there's a variety of different courses that you can take from accredited places that ensure that you're improving your knowledge and learning what you need to actually be able to operate on your own and without that supervision at some point in time. So to get into some of the nitty gritty of the test itself and pricing and that kind of stuff. So the test is 90 multiple choice and then there's 1 case study question. However, because I was doing the online format and I think that they've just kind of changed most of the structure of the exam, I don't know if they'll go back to the case study question, but I only had the 90 multiple choice questions because they can't really, like, it would be a whole other process and you'd have to wait on your results if there was a case study question. Normally when you were writing it in person, they would collect all the paper tests and mark them and whatever anyways, so it didn't really matter that there was also a case study question, but I did not have to do the case study question. It was just 90 multiple choice. You need to get 75% to pass it. I got just over 80, I believe. My marks are earlier in the video. I don't even remember at this point. So the contents of the exam, there is questions on the RIB Act, which is the Registered Insurance Brokers Act. There are questions on auto, property, and commercial insurance. Very little on commercial insurance, to be honest, mostly auto and property, which makes sense because that is like the personal insurance that you're likely to be selling when you're getting your RIBO license. Then there's questions on travel and health insurance for traveling. There are 5 questions on that every single time, and you have to get at least 3 of them right to be able to sell travel insurance. I did get 3 right exactly, so I am licensed to sell travel insurance. My brokerage does not sell travel insurance, but I mean, I can like advise people on what kind of coverage they do have under OHIP and if they should be seeking more coverage based on what they're actually gonna be doing on vacation. Price to take the exam itself was $180. The license price to originally register for it and get your license the first time is $280, and the annual renewal is $190. So all of those fees were paid by my brokerage. My brokerage paid for the test, they paid for my license, they paid for my police check as well. So they paid for all of those things because it's worth it to them if I'm licensed after that. So they paid for all of those things to ensure that I was able to get my license. And they pay for the renewal fee as well because they obviously want you to continue to be licensed while you're working there. So they pay for all of that. Some of the resources that I use to be able to study, there is the IBAO online modules. So those were really helpful as kind of like a base understanding. These are all resources that I got through my brokerage. So these are things that everyone has access to in my brokerage that has taken the tests, and they are the resources that some people used, some people didn't. So I used the IBAO online modules. A lot of other people told me that they didn't use them because they didn't find them helpful, but I kind of used them as like an entry point. They kind of gave a brief overview. Some of it was like randomly technical, but I found that like the videos were really easy to watch and kind of gave me a little bit of an intro. I also used the main textbook that I use is from the Insurance Institute, and there's 2 RIBO textbooks. They're like pretty big, but I used both of those and read through them completely once and kind of went over different parts of them a couple of times. Then the kind of main resource that I used, which a lot of people at my brokerage have used for taking their RIBO test, was Prep and Pass, which is a website that has a bunch of multiple choice questions and some like tidbits of information as well. So basically it's just like a huge amount of multiple choice tests that help you study and kind of are like mock exams. You can take them focused on a particular topic, on a particular section, 25 question ones, 100 question ones, 50 question ones, like all over the place. And it was so helpful. I did so many of them, and it was honestly just nice to kind of like take a temperature as to where you're actually at and what you're actually understanding. And it gave me a lot more confidence going into the test when I was taking my mock exams and getting like 80 to 100% on them every time. I was like, okay, I feel really confident. And then of course the other main resource that I used were my coworkers and my trainer. So the girl who trained me for my position, she's also like the general trainer at the office for anyone who might be taking the RIBO exam. She did really well on hers and has been a really great resource for everyone in our office. So she was super helpful, and I honestly could not have passed without her. So I'm very happy that I had her. She checked in with me after every study session, answered any of the questions that I had, and was just constantly available to me while I was studying, and that was just so helpful. So I had a lot of great resources, but I would say that Prep and Pass is a great one if your brokerage does not have a lot of access to resources, or if you're trying to take the test on your own before you actually try and get hired by a brokerage. Prep and Pass is a great resource. You can pay $40 to $60 for online access. I think it's $40 for 3-month access and $60 for 6-month access. And it just is absolutely so helpful. I would say if you have like very few resources or no resources, that's the one to use. So you can get that even if you're outside of a brokerage. My brokerage just pays for the annual membership on it. And so anyone who's doing their test at any point in time has access to the website. So now that I have passed my RIBO exam and I am a licensed broker, you might be wondering what I'm up to now. I know I've kind of alluded in a few of my work week videos that I have switched positions and I'm doing new stuff, that I'm in the commercial department, kind of all over the place. So I'm gonna continue to be a little bit vague here because I'm actually gonna do like a job explanation video. I think it's helpful to kind of hear what people do on a day-to-day and expand on it a little bit, because a lot of the time we have no idea. Like an office job is just like so, I don't know, like on a macro level, like nobody really knows what anyone does at their office job. So I'm hoping to create a video to kind of explain what my role actually is. And it is actually still in the process of changing and morphing frequently. So I am now in the commercial lines department. I was originally in personal lines, which is like auto and property specifically for like individuals. Now I'm in the commercial department, and commercial insurance is obviously business insurance. And so there's property, liability, and auto insurance that you would get as a commercial business. So that is what I'm doing now. I moved departments. I'm with a whole new team. They recruited me before I even really took my exam and wanted me to move into that department and become an asset on their team before I took my exam. So there was kind of high pressure when I was taking my exam, because I was like, oh, like I really want to pass to make sure that I can move into this department. And like I was kind of told about it like pretty close to the exam, but they said anyways that they would have taken me even if I hadn't passed it, because they knew I would pass it on a second try. But things went smoothly and I passed it anyways, so I didn't have to worry about it. So I have now moved to the commercial insurance department, and I'm actually setting up to this week start my studying for my CABE 3 test that I'm going to be taking in April. So CABE stands for Canadian Accredited Insurance Broker, and there are 4 different levels to your CABE testing, and you actually don't have to take them in any particular order. It makes a lot of sense to do CABE 1 right after you do your RIBO because a lot of it transfers over. However, because I moved departments and I'm no longer in personal lines, that one's more focused on personal insurance, so my brokerage decided it would be better if I moved on to the commercial insurance parts of it and then come back to the CABE 1 later, because to get your full CABE accreditation, you obviously have to take all 4 of them. So I'm gonna break down really briefly, because it's obviously not super interesting if you're not in insurance, what they actually are. So CABE 1 is general insurance. So again, it's just kind of building off of RIBO. It's mostly personal line stuff. So auto, property, personal liability, that kind of stuff. So that's what that is. CABE 2 jumps into commercial insurance, and it's talking about underwriting, different forms you have to fill out, crime, and business interruption. So there's actually a little bit of a math portion to that section, because crime and business interruption have a lot to do with percentages of other risk and amount that you're paying in premium in other parts of a policy. So those ones are a little bit more technical. CABE 3 is also commercial insurance. As I mentioned before, we're discussing liability, commercial auto insurance, surety bonds, ocean, and aviation insurance. So ocean and aviation, no idea at the moment, but we're gonna learn, so that's exciting. Level 4 is your broker management. So that is kind of like your skills, your sales skills, your service skills, that kind of stuff, and like how to advise people on their insurance, as opposed to like the nitty gritty of what the insurance is. So generally people take their CABE 4 last out of those 4, because it kind of wraps everything up and helps you discuss advising people on insurance and selling people insurance. So that is CABE. I am taking CABE 3, so that is my next endeavor to do. I'm actually taking an online course for that one, as well as using a textbook to study. So my online courses are on Wednesday evenings for 2 hours. So that's like for the next 8 weeks, I think 10 weeks, maybe. And then I have my exam for that one on April 20th, and that is an in-person exam, but we do it in our brokerage and are proctored by one of the like top brokers in our brokerage, and they like proctor us, and you are doing it, I think, online, but it has to be proctored and that kind of stuff. So anyway, that is my next thing to do. When I am setting up to take that and studying for my CABE 3, please let me know down below if you'd actually be interested in another video recapping you on my CABE 3 process. If you want to know about the online course that I'm taking, please let me know. It really helps me out with what kind of content I should be creating for y'all. I don't know how much interest you have in the entire licensing process of being a broker, so let me know in the comments down below if you want to see what my CABE 3 journey looks like, or just my CABE journey in total looks like, because I'd be really happy to make another video like this for y'all. One of the things that I found when I was setting up to take my RIBO is there was actually not a lot of content on YouTube, and I was surprised by that. All throughout university, I used YouTube as like a really good resource to be able to learn a little bit more about a topic that we talked about and have good breakdowns of information from a lot of different people and have things explained in a different way. And I was kind of surprised how little information there was about RIBO licensing online when I was setting up to take my exam. So I hope this has been a help if that's how you stumbled upon this video. I do post videos every week, kind of going over my weekly work life. So if you do want to see some of that and what it's like day to day as an insurance broker, please do give a follow down below, because I do go over that and touch a little bit on what I'm doing project-wise. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope this was informative and eye-opening if you were interested in this. And if you have any insurance questions, or if you're interested in becoming an insurance broker or going into the world of insurance, please connect with me, leave a comment. I would love to answer any of your questions, and we will see y'all very, very soon. Bye, babes.